Hi everybody, my name is Injin Moon and welcome to iHome Church. I hope everybody is enjoying a beautiful month of August. Certainly for me and my family, it's really been not just a beautiful month, but a reflective month, because we are heading towards the third anniversary of my father's passing, or my father's ascension. And, when you think about your father that has moved on to the next world, it makes you feel and think a lot of things. And I know that certainly when I was a little girl, looking forward to my life out into the great big world, I thought that I would always be the kind of a person when I was very young to grow out and away from my parents. But as you get older, you realize that the older and wiser you get, you don't grow out and away from your parents, but we all grow into and through our parents. And the older we get, the more important our parents become in our life. And certainly when we have children or their grandchildren to share with them, it becomes a profound journey that just grows richer in years. And it certainly does not stop, even if one of your parents have moved on earlier than you had expected. You realize that from the other world, or from the spirit world as we call it, I feel my father more than ever. And I know that he is loving and caring and supporting all of us so much from the other side. And working together with our true mother here on earth, really want to see all of us be the best that we possibly can. And so this week I would like to talk about the importance of natural witnessing and what I mean by that. I know that lately, as we kind of approach the third anniversary of my father's ascension, there has been incredible noise and rattling in our community. And certainly it brings back some of the words that Shakespeare shared with us many, many years ago. And he said that empty vessels make the loudest noise. And that is certainly true in many different pockets of our community. But we realize that we are here not because of coincidence, but because our God, our Heavenly Parent, really chose each and every one of us, you and I, to really be at this time working together with our true parents to really share the breaking news and the importance of having true love in our life, and the importance of exercising and really making flesh Reverend Sun Myung Moon's philosophy of living for the sake of others. So even though there's a whole lot of rattling in our community, our true parents are forever consistent and persistent, and really invite all of our devotion to the core message that our true parents really want us to reflect on, meditate on, and really make flesh in these years to come. And the time and time again, the message that our true mother shared, really representing true parents, is the importance of 2020 and the importance of witnessing. And 2020 is kind of interesting because, when you have 2020 vision, you are able to see clearly. And the whole point of witnessing, or being that witness to testify to the world about God and our true parents, is to help the world see clearly. But if our job as that witnesser in this great campaign of witnessing that true parents would like to see as we go on towards 2020, how do we help the world see clearly? Well, in order for us to help the world see clearly, we realize that we can't really help anybody see clearer than they do if we ourselves are not seeing clearly. If we are seeing double vision, or if we're seeing visions that are fractured and that are fragmented, we're not going to be too successful in our efforts to help others see clearly when we are not seeing clearly ourselves. And so, as a pastor who have worked with, different witnessing campaigns and projects over the years, I know that the four things or the questions that we need to keep in mind when we're venturing on or embarking on a new project is to be able to answer these four questions of who, what, where, when. And so if we want to complete our mission of 2020, really is to witness to the world and help the world clearly, we have to be able to see clearly by being able to answer these simple questions. And so if we were to ask ourselves the question of, well, who are we witnessing about? It really has to be very clear in our minds that we are here to testify and witness to the world and to help them see clearly about how incredible our God, our Heavenly Parent is up in heaven, and how incredible it is to have their physical representative, our true parents here on earth, to really inspire and empower us and to really be that help us transform ourselves into this incredible connectors to the world that can do extraordinary things. And we realize that when we ask ourselves, what are we sharing with the world? What are we witnessing to the world about? It is that message of true love. God so created the world because he wanted to experience a family. That's our true parents' message in a nutshell. And the great thing about having our true parents here, the physical manifestation or representative or ambassadors of God, is that through them we can see true love in action. Between a husband and a wife, between father and son, between father and daughter, between mother and son and mother and daughter, we see the whole complete picture of a family working together to create a beautiful world. And that is a wonderful thing to behold. So when we go down the list of who? True parents in God. What? We are here to really testify and witness to the world about the beauty of true love in our lives. And where? We have to understand that, when you want to share some good news or for instance, nowadays, when you're on the internet, you cannot help but be bombarded by all of these products and all of these people selling their wares and their products on the internet, and you are literally having to shield yourself from the ever-increasing bombardment. But for instance, if you are selling the next greatest facial cream that is going to transform you from a 50-year-old to this gorgeous 24-year-old lookalike, you gotta kind of look the part. You gotta say, hey, I tried the cream and it really worked on me. And so why don't you try it and see if it works for you? Or if you are the next great fitness guru and you want to take over the world with your fitness program and your nutrition program and your whole catalog of products that you would like people to enjoy, you as the selling point of the person that really wants to brand this product as the next greatest and the biggest thing has to be a fit person. If you are not a fit person selling a fitness product, there's a disjunct between the visual and the product that you are selling. And therefore, you are not going to get anybody interested in your fitness program, let alone any of your nutritional products. So in order for you to kind of start off on this grand vision of incredible nutritional program, you got to be healthy yourself. Well, likewise, when we want to testify and when we want to really be that embodiment of the message that we are selling or we are sharing with the world, we got to be able to ask the question, where? And the incredible thing about true parents is, look, before you start trying to witness to people, you got to start with yourself. As Mahatma Gandhi said many, many years ago, be the change that you want to see in the world. So we ourselves need to be a true love person, or we ourselves need to be a true love community if we want to share the message of true love with the world. And so I've noticed that in many, many parts of the world, we have so many incredible brothers and sisters, testifying and proclaiming the word and the divine principle of true parents, but not too much thought is given to this question, or this one word question of where. Well, you can proclaim all these wonderful things, but where do you bring the people to actually experience what we're talking about? And that's why the incredible thing about Father's emphasis on home church, home really being the place where you can experience the message, where the message is driven home. Because when people come to your home and your place of belonging, and they are inspired and empowered by this incredible true love, they automatically, voluntarily, naturally want to connect to the world in a similar way. And so this question of where is sometimes overlooked in our community because we're so busy sharing the message of who and what. But do we really have the kind of a community that people would want to belong to? Are we really a genuine and a real and a true love movement? Do we really have beautiful, healthy, loving spouses in our blessed families? Do we really have children that are excited and inspired and really wanting to do great things? Well, I think there are pockets of really greatness in the making. But we ourselves, as a movement, really kind of need to take an honest look and ask, if we are branding ourselves, if we are sharing the message, where do we bring these people to? Do we have an incredible ministry? Do we have an incredible church service? Do we have incredible educational programs that people can plug their kids into and know that they're in good hands? Do we have incredible summer programs that everybody in the world is trying to get into? And these are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves. And then the fourth question that we need to be asking ourselves is who, what, where, and when. So when do we witness? Or when do we testify? The incredible thing about our true parents is one of the things I realized growing up, and one of the difficulties that I've had growing up with a father like my father, the Reverend Sun Myung Moon, is he absolutely had no sense of when. In that I've never seen my father or my mother having downtime. They were always on. And they were always, just like the way we breathe, we are just like the way we breathe. When you become a man and a woman of true love, you naturally breathe all the time. This incredible thing called true love, and you're not turned on and off here and there in pockets. You're sometimes experiencing blackouts, but regardless of what my father was going through, he was always there. Just like the way we can count on our respiratory system to keep our body going. Father and mother are just like that. They just keep on going, no matter what they're going through, no matter what comes their way, no matter what torpedoes and nuclear bombs go off, in their life. They just keep on going. And that's the incredible thing about our true parents. And I think a lot of people, because we are a church and because we feel that one of the most important thing we need to do is to testify and witness. Sometimes we are so busy looking outward that many times we don't look inward. And that's why the importance of not just witnessing, but natural witnessing comes into play. And Father spoke about this many years ago. He said, we have entered the time of true parents. The time of true parents is the completed Testament age. So we do not need to focus on witnessing to others. Now, mind you, Father is not saying witnessing to others is not important, but what he is saying is we do not need to focus on witnessing to the others. In other words, that is not the most important way that we witness to others. Father says, we have to witness to ourselves. We have to save ourselves. We have to save our families. Our married couples must be saved. Our sons and daughters must be saved. You and me are the fruits of providential history. To me, this is an incredibly profound message, because Father is basically saying, in a nutshell, that you are the fruits of providential history. You are little true parents in the making. This is what providential history has been leading up to. And we have been so busy focusing on witnessing out that we have forgotten to really check ourselves to see, have we really been witnessing to ourselves? Has our mind and body been unified? Is our spouse really madly in love, sharing this true love adventure with me? Are my children thriving? Are they really such a beautiful witness to the power of God working in our lives to the world? Is our community the kind of community that everybody wants to be a part of? These are the questions that Father is asking that we need to think about. Father is not sharing these words by telling us, that we need to save ourselves as if that's the most important goal. But what he is trying to say is really teach us the profound meaning of what I call natural witnessing. Father often talks about subjugation of evil naturally. We do that because we are such a true love individual that when evil comes in contact with you and me, the evil forces themselves are inspired, themselves are empowered, themselves are so excited to be connected to the world through God and our true parents. That's the magic of the message that our true parents bring. So when we see clearly, and when we can see clearly the providential history as it has been working throughout our lives, we realize that we have gone through the Old Testament age, we have gone through the New Testament age, and now we're in the completed Testament age, or the age of true parents. We realize that our true Father has taught us that the Old Testament really symbolized the hope, and the New Testament symbolized the faith, and the completed Testament symbolized the love that God has for all of us. And so when you read the stories of the Old Testament, predominantly these are the stories of the patriarchs, and the importance of obeying the law comes into play. And what are you obeying? You are obeying the law, or the words that has been given to you. So your life is a life of absolutely trying to be obedient to the word. When we come to the New Testament age and we meet Jesus Christ for the first time, we realize that the New Testament is really about the story between the Father and the Son. And the importance here is not just simply obeying the law or to the word, but here the emphasis placed is on the gospel, or the sharing the good news. And so when you're talking about sharing the good news, the important thing, or the message that is kind of driven home through the New Testament, it is the importance of really being the witness, being the one who testifies about God and about Jesus being the Christ of all mankind. But when we come to the completed Testament age, or the fulfillment Testament age, we get the full picture. As we know, with Jesus, we have the understanding or the importance of Father and the Son. But because the Holy Spirit was never made flesh, we don't have an example in regard to a woman figure that all the sisters and mothers can really kind of aspire to, or identify with? Well, with our true parents here, we have a successful man and a woman standing in the position as the victorious Adam and Eve. And we realize that here, the message is really about not just sharing the gospel as in the New Testament, or just obeying the law in the Old Testament, but the message here is about inheriting the true love of God. Not just being gifted the true love of God, but actually inheriting, meaning making flesh. So meaning grafting on to that original olive branch through this incredible thing called the blessing or the matrimony ceremony that we have in our church. And we inherit this true love of God by not just being somebody who obeys the law, not just being somebody who is the witness to the gospel, but we inherit the true love of God by actually making flesh or becoming the embodiment of this incredible thing called true love. And this embodiment, or the process of embodiment, is what we call natural witnessing. So when we see clearly, and we can see that this is an incredible time, the completed Testament age, time of true parents, time to inherit the true love of God, time to really be that embodiment, time to naturally witness to people. Well, how do we go about naturally witnessing to people? Well, our father, the Reverend Sun Myung Moon, said it so aptly, so succinctly. He said, we need to practice the philosophy of living for the sake of others. So, in other words, instead of just sitting back and waiting for God to take the wheel, Father is saying, no, sons and daughters, you are not some third grader waiting for the teacher to hand you oatmeal cookies. This time, you are an able adult who is going to make the most succulent oatmeal cookie, and not just make it for yourselves, but really present it to our Heavenly Parent up in heaven, which is God. It's an incredible time and an incredible opportunity, or the 5% responsibility that we call it, that God left in our care. God is not going to drive the car for us. He's going to say, hey, enjoy the ride. You drive. And there is nothing like it, like driving the wheel of the car yourself. And I know that certainly for lots of the young people, having been driven their whole life by their parents, when it comes time to celebrate that 16th birthday and get a permit and hopefully get a license, you know, they feel like the world is opening up. And that's what our Heavenly Parent really wants us to do. Not just enjoy these little singular pockets or moments or phases of life. God wants us to experience the whole universe in its entirety together with Him and her. And that's the beautiful thing. So when we witness and naturally witness to others, then we realize that we kind of have to start by ourselves. You know, if we want to be that natural witness, if we want to naturally witness to this incredible heavenly body cream, well, you know, people need to see the effect of the body cream. And if we are going to naturally witness to this incredible fitness regimen or this program that has transformed our lives, well, then we better be healthy before we get out there and before we share this incredible breakthrough and incredible research and incredible new program. Well, likewise, when we really start thinking about being that natural witnesser like our true parents, we got to start with ourselves. And the thing that I love to do in my life of faith is I just love being in a relationship or having a husband that is really my partner on my journey through life, and really asking myself, am I a great natural witness to my husband? Am I really a great natural witness of true love? You know, am I just waiting back and waiting to receive the, incredible coffee that he makes for me all the time? Or am I just here to receive? Or am I going to be that natural witness that takes the first steps, that is proactive, that gives, that actually takes the step and gives and gets that circuitry going? Am I going to be the one to turn on the light? Or am I always going to wait for my husband to turn on the light for me? And that's a really wonderful thing to ask ourselves. And so I know that when many husbands and wives, they come to me for different advice. Sometimes they say, well, in the beginning, we're getting to know each other. We went to the blessing and it's all great. But now it's kind of fizzled and we have so many problems and we don't get a chance to really get our juices flowing and have the feeling for what we have felt for each other in the beginning. And one of the things that I always like to ask people is, so how are you in terms of being a natural witness to your spouse? And of course, when I ask that, most people kind of look at me with a puzzled look. But what I mean by that is, how are we being that true son and a daughter of true love vis-a-vis our spouse, that can inspire, that can empower, that can really transform our spouse's life to want to connect and to want to connect in the best of ways? And so, I know that many spousal relationships, it's all about making decisions, and sometimes it's about, well, who controls the decision-making process? Well, here in this family, father makes all the decisions, or here, mother makes all the financial decisions. But my experience is it's always best to make decisions together. And so instead of trying to control our spouse, we can think of different ways to really inspire our spouse, maybe to contemplate or reflect on some of our ideas or some of our methods and see if it can be worked into our relationship. So just because, we are married doesn't mean that we can take each other for granted. When you are out there in the real world and you have friends, you can't always tell your friends what to do. Otherwise, you're not going to be left with too many friends. You got to work with your friends. Well, isn't your husband or wife your best and the greatest friend? Then how much more so shall we work together? So we need to think about inspiring our spouses to work together with us instead of controlling them or trying to control them all the time. And one of the things that I realized that in the course of a married relationship is when we are going through moments of difficulty. Many times when a couple comes to me for guidance, they don't realize the kind of a face that they are putting out to the world. They don't realize that when they are communicating with each other, the only type of a face or the body posture or the body language that the other gets to see is that angry face, or that face of discouragement, or that many times that face of disgust. And so we are very visual creatures. So when we feel visually assaulted in that way by our spouse, the emotional trigger just goes off the roof. And we are not really listening anymore. We are there to defend our turf and ourselves. And so many times the conversation just comes to a screeching halt and very, very little progress is made. And so the importance of being aware of the kind of a face that we are putting out to the world can really transform many couples from a really difficult situation to an improved one. In that, just by merely reminding ourselves, life needs to be seen, or that relationship building needs to be seen as if we are kind of writing a journal each day with our spouse. So even if we had a terrible row or a terrible time the night before, we need to be able to have the capacity to turn the page of the journal and to start on a brand new page. We need to be able to start our day remembering God, remembering true parents, remembering each other, with this incredible, beautiful smile that you and I have. Smile. to God, smile to true parents, smile to each other. And starting with a smile, simple thank yous for the wonderful things that your husband or your wife might do that morning. So regardless of what took past, what happened in the past, try to start the day brand new and be mindful of that face or that body posture or that body language that we are communicating to our spouse with. And when we are more mindful and aware of that, then we can be more loving in terms of our approach, in terms of our desire to really not just cut down our spouse or not just defend our own turf and state our ground, but our sincere desire is going to be that one of genuinely wanting to empower the other. Because when we can empower the other and the other tries to do the same, it turns into this incredible energy of true love. And it's multiplied many folds throughout the day. And that is what we want to see. And so tell your husband and tell your wife, regardless of what happened, how much he or she means to you. Tell him and her that he and she are the most beautiful people in the world, and that we feel lucky to be in this relationship. And even if we're not feeling it, kind of setting the parameters, this is how we're going to invest in our relationship, this is how we're going to work on ourselves. It's a wonderful signal, not just to ourselves, but also to everybody in the house, that we take our relationship and our love seriously. And we are willing to do the work to make it work. And that's a beautiful thing. And the great thing about being a natural witness in a husband and wife relationship is not only do we get to inspire our spouse and to empower our spouse by really being that incredible support, but we get to enjoy being the great connector. And, in our connections to each other, where we can not just join our souls and our hearts, but also become one in body. This is a grand finale for incredible things to happen. I think in a religious community and growing up in a religious community where sex kind of has been one of these things, it's like a taboo thing. It's like you don't talk about it, you don't think about it, just stay away from it before marriage. Some people have not digested that understanding of sex. And so when they go to the blessing and get married and have to have that wonderful sexual relationship with their spouse, they're still thinking sex is taboo, it's just something I need to get over, just to have kids and create an ideal family, not realizing that it's one of the greatest and the most profound connectors that we can experience in our lives. And so we have to understand that this is a realm, this is an arena where husband and wife can be incredibly creative and, be willing to really just think about the needs of the other. Because the more you love the other, guess what? The more the other loves you back. And that's the incredible thing about true love in action. And the incredible thing about living at this time, even though we ourselves are going through our own lives, we have our true parents here with us. So regardless of what we are going through as we work on becoming this incredible natural witness to the world, starting with ourselves and our spouses and our children and our families and our society, we need to concentrate on a couple of things. We need to understand that in order to build this incredible house that we're going to invite the whole world to, we need to strengthen our foundation. So enough rattling, brothers and sisters. This is the time to really focus in on what is important. Ask ourselves the difficult and the important questions. Are we really a true love movement? Are we really a true love home? Are we really a men and women of true love? And where can we learn how to become men and women of true love? Well, we have an incredible mentor or a teacher in our true parents. So this is the time to strengthen our foundations of our faith, which is our relationship to God and our true parents and to our beautiful spouses, and create a beautiful family. And the second question that we really need to be asking ourselves is, what kind of a culture do we have in this church? So we are really good, and some of us are really fantastic presenters of the divine principles. We're very good at teaching the principle to men and women of the world. But what is the culture that have been embodying these teachings? Is the embodiment of this teaching just as grand and just as majestic and magnificent as the teachings? Well, that is something that we need to address. And number 3 is, regardless of where we are in life, there will be adversities that we will have to face, and there will be changes that will sometimes impale us and sometimes blow us up into smithereens. And so we can always count on change and adversity hitting our path. But the whole point is, how do we deal with it? How do we deal with the changes and adversities and grow from it? That's the third thing that we need to be thinking about as our movement. And so if we keep these 3 points in mind, how to strengthen our foundation by really focusing on the importance of our relationship with God and true parents, and addressing the problems of the culture. What kind of a culture do we have? Be realistic about it. Be real about it. Be genuine about it, and then do something about it. And the third point, which is really being able to embrace change and adversity to help us grow into something more strong, more profound, and just incredible in terms of what the world has seen. And so I feel like this is really the time, really an exciting time. And I love the word witness, because in it is the word wit. And, I like to kind of remind ourselves when we're thinking about witness, the word witness, we have to, ask ourselves, do we have the wit to see what is needed? Are we able to have the wit to see what is needed? And what we need in our lives and what the world needs is true parents. And when we are scared out of our wits, what do? And we don't know what to do. Well, that's the time to come home to God and true parents, and realize that there's true love waiting. And we have to remember to keep our wits about us all the time. Be mentally alert. Be artistically alert. Be ready to do anything for the sake of love. And that's when I remind myself the importance of breathing. We have to be like we have to be a living soul, a living person. We have to practice and embody true love all the time. So when I think about natural witnessing, and I say to you and to me that true parents are the greatest natural witnesses, because they start with themselves. And regardless of what they experience or face in their life of faith, they simply never give up. Do they do everything right? Absolutely not. Do they do everything wrong? Absolutely not. But the incredible thing about father and mother is they never give up trying to do their best in the environment or in the position that they find themselves in. And I don't know about you, but for me, that's an admirable and an honorable quality that I want to have in my life of faith. So to all the naysayers who says, well, true parents have failed, father has failed, true mother has failed. It's just, the rattling is incessant. But one thing is that these two people have never given up. And to me, that's an incredible quality. And so when Shakespeare says, that the empty vessels tend to be the loudest vessel, well, we don't need to waste our lives being empty vessels, making the loudest noise. But the real important thing that we need to be thinking about is becoming that vessel that shares the message of true love to the world. Become incredible tribal messiahs. Become incredible little true parents all throughout the world, like that little beacon of light that helps to guide home the lost ships out on sea. So if we can do that, if you and I can do that, starting with our families, our relationships, then we can transform the world. We can slowly, one by one family at a time, transform the world. And that's a beautiful thing. So brothers and sisters, have an incredible week. Have a beautiful summer, and God bless. If you have any questions and comments, please leave them below the video or go to injinmoon.com and use the contact form. And don't forget to subscribe to our email. And for those of you who want to contribute to our work here at iHome Church, just click on the donate button. Thank you. Bye-bye.